And welcome to the show. Hi, I'm Daniel. I won't say the last name because I don't want to sprain my tongue before we get to the guests. I also want to apologize because apparently the higher-ups have brought it to my attention that I was very poorly behaved last week with Sadie Katz and Chase Ebner at the top of the show. And as a result of that, we lost a big guest for this evening. So I want to personally apologize to that guest, Mr. Kim Jong-un. I apologize, and I will do so much better in the future in the way I treat people. And I hope you will come back on at a future date. That being said, the higher-ups have worked very hard to rehabilitate my image with people. And so they have suggested that I bring on people from my past in order to get people to like me, to ingratiate me to the audience. With that being said, we welcome you to a new segment we call The Catch-Up. Catch-up is wonderful because it serves two purposes in this case. Purpose number one is to cover that really bad taste that's left in your mouth by my personality. And it's an opportunity to catch up with a longtime friend of mine. He's an associate professor of history at Murray State University, and his name is Dr. Brian Clardy. Dr. Brian Clardy, my old high school friend.
Well, how are you, Daniel?
I am doing good, sir. I am doing good.
Excellent.
I am working hard to rehabilitate my image because apparently I come across as very caustic and unfriendly, and I figure, you know, if anybody knows my history, it would be a history professor that I went to high school with.
I'm trying to process caustic and Daniel in the same sentence, and somehow that doesn't work.
Well,
that's not the Daniel I know.
I appreciate that. That's very, very kind of you to say.
Yeah.
The check is forthcoming. And it's very, very, very nice of you, you know, and yeah, the higher ups were really, really annoyed with me over the way I treated Chase and Sadie last week. And so it was very important that we work very hard to rehabilitate my image. And I thought maybe you could share a story of my youth that might enlighten this audience as to the type of person that I am.
Okay, as I recall, I know you came down here in the very early 80s, came to Tennessee from Michigan, right?
That was correct, Michigan? Yes.
Okay, so the kind of humor that you brought from the north to rural northwest Tennessee, there was going to be a culture clash. Okay? Mm-hmm. So when you would tell a joke and you would make references to people, places, and events, some folks just
otherwise known as current events.
Otherwise known as current events. And some of those folks just didn't get the reference.
Okay. And
those jokes fell flat. I thought it was funny. And some other folks too, you know, like Stewart and some of the other folks who, you know, were up on current events. But for most people, they just didn't get it.
Mm-hmm.
And your vocabulary and the fact that you did not talk like you came from the cast of Hee Haw. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I could see, looking back, how they could see that as odd. But I think the thing is, Daniel, you did not need to come down to where they were. They needed to come to where you were because you're a funny guy.
I like that. So you're telling me my audience has got it all wrong. Is that's
okay. Well, let me back up. I don't know your audience. I don't know who all you appeal to, but I mean, there are certain people in comedy that you just have to prepare for. You take the late great Lenny Bruce, so you take the late great George Carlin, or you take someone as recent as Dave Chappelle. If you're not keeping up with what's going on in the news, whatever jokes, or Chris Rock, whatever jokes they tell, they're going to sound extremely corny. So there needs to be this level of preparation so that when they tell the joke, then, you know, they can connect to it. And so I think that's probably I mean, I didn't listen to the exchange, but I just remember from growing up with you in the early '80s, I could kind of see that where they just don't quite get it.
So what you're saying is I deserved back in the '80s to get my butt kicked.
No.
All right. Well, I'm glad we.
Oh no, you did not. Oh, you did not.
Oh well, thank you. And I'm glad you didn't bring. I am glad you didn't bring up the entire football team outside the band room that day. So that was.
I don't remember that, but I hope not. I hope that didn't happen. That's
oh
scary.
no, actually that did.
Oh crap!
I think y'all were still hiding in there. So.
That sounds like a lynch mob, Daniel. An entire football team after one person.
That was about what I incurred back then. So basically nothing has changed in my adult life. So
not good. Not good.
So
well,
it is what it is. But we are making the most of it. We've got a wonderful show lined up today.
Sounds like you do. Yeah.
And I'm really I'm like I said, I'm really hoping that your presence on my show kind of helps to, well, humanize me to my audience. You know.
Oh man, you're already human. The thing about it is, some folks just need to lighten up some. I mean, without humor, there's no life. And sometimes humor can be biting. Sometimes it can be insightful, and sometimes humor can make us uncomfortable. But that's the whole point.
There we go. So where would my type of humor fall in that spectrum?
I see Lenny Bruce. Mm-hmm. I see, before he turned bitter, Dennis Miller.
Oh.
Before he went to the dark side.
Oh yes.
That Dennis Miller. Yeah.
That.
Some Chappelle. I can see that.
Oh.
And just looking at your interactions, and don't get mad, I can kind of see some Joan Rivers where you do kind of rip people, but she never did that out of meanness or spite. Neither did Rickles. I mean, they rip people to make a point and also to make people laugh, but I don't think that they were being insulting. Just like I don't think you're being insulting.
Well, that's very kind of you to say. Again, check forthcoming. That's a very flattering image, you know. And I think if we spend more time, you'd find out just how wrong that image is. But I appreciate it. It's like you're like, ooh, oh yeah. But I appreciate the input, Doc. And so, you know,
hey, no problem, man.
And well, you know, and a learned man, no less, you know. So
well, as Will Rogers used to say, all I know is what I read in the papers.
Oh, well, there you go. Well, now all we know is what we read on the internet, and it's like, it's just exhausting.
Oh my God. The internet is a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing in the sense that you can get instant news, instant information whenever you need it. If you need to know a factoid, you can type it up and at least get the gist of it. But my God, some of the crazy stuff that's out there. And people are actually taking it to heart, and it's inciting violence and recriminations and going back and forth, and it's unlocking all types of demons. And you know, at what point point does it stop?
Well, you know, hopefully, I have an answer to that. It's not the one anyone wants to hear, but we'll yeah, but you know what? I think we're gonna stick with the good things on the internet, like my show. You know, where we have nice and entertaining, yet mildly informative. That's what I'm striving for. You know, that's part of the reason I call it Asylum tonight, because Asylum is where you go to seek sanctuary, and so
that's true.
And that's true. And that's what
Asylum to clear your head.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, that was what it started out as, for sure. But I still kept the name Asylum tonight because I like it. It was also a very easy domain name to register, surprisingly. So that worked out really well. So
I'm thinking about the rock group Soul Asylum for some reason, and that was so
it's nice. It's because David and I have the same hairstyle. That dirty dreadlocks. That's what it is.
Yeah, I remember those guys.
Oh my goodness, Dr. Clardy, it was an absolute joy to see you again, my friend.
Hey, brother, you got my number. Hit me up. if there's battery space, I'm there.
All right. Well, there we go. I will. Yeah. Tell you what. I will definitely put you to use, man.
Please do.
You're already
Please
working
do.
as a university professor. You know how to work for free.
Yes.
So that's what's,
I just wrapped up. I just wrapped up a 2-week summer term to make a little extra money because I like to drink in the summer. So
I like to drink all the time.
Yeah, but especially in the summer, sitting on the porch drinking bourbon, man, until the sun comes up. I mean, hey, that's the good life. But yeah, I just finished that summer term, turned in the grades on Saturday, so I'm in bum mode at least for the next couple of days, and then I'll start my writing projects and different things, and try to make full professor by the time I'm 60.
Really? But you're an associate professor?
I'm associate, yeah.
Associate professor. So
and you got to work like hell to be a full professor. You really, really do. You got to publish a lot. You got to have some really, really good teaching evaluations. Which this past semester with us going into quarantine, I don't know how that's going to look. And then do lots of service. It's just like going through a tenure process, but you can still keep your job.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah, you can exceed at your job. Well, there you go.
Yes, that's right.
Well, my best to you and the missus.
Thank you, brother.
And we will talk at a future date.
Looking forward to it, Daniel.
All right.
Hit me up anytime, brother, man. Stay encouraged, all right?
Gotcha. In 10 short years, our next guest has become a pop art phenom. Her artwork is sold all over the country. It's sold online, and countless websites. And not only that, she appears at every comic book convention across the country and, yay, even across the world. She is an incredibly talented artist, and we're very fortunate to have her with us tonight. Would you please welcome Megan Lara? Megan Lara. By the way, that's pronounced Megan Lara, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Is that okay? It's our first time meeting, and if I screw this up, I'm gonna bang my head against the wall because you're so upset. I really love you. Okay, did I fangirl enough for you?
I mean, you could keep it going.
Could I? Okay.
No.
Oh, man, I love you. You're so amazing. She is, and you are amazing. I'm going to show everybody this because this is how I first found out about Megan Lara. I was on a website called T-Fury, and I found this really awesome shirt with the 11th Doctor of the Doctor Who series from Megan and Matt Smith, and I like him. Of course, he's technically not my favorite. Who's your favorite Doctor?
Probably the 9th Doctor, actually.
Really, Chris Eccleston?
Yeah.
You like that? You like
he
that?
was my first one, so I think
he was
that
your
helps.
first one. Yeah, you like the bad boys. He was kind of like the bad boy Doctor. He
was a jerk.
He was kind of a jerk, See, because my favorite is the guy right after him, the 10th Doctor. So David Tennant.
Well, he's really close. He's so beautiful.
Well, you actually have a picture with him, and we'll show it right here. And so, how did you? I'm sorry, I'm stumbling over myself. I say I know a lot, or you know a lot, so I put in all that conversational filler. I'm trying to edit that out because I'm trying to be a consummate professional for a truly impressive artist. And I am so stoked that you've come on the show tonight, and I really appreciate that. I cannot tell you how much that means to me. And I know it's exciting. I'm really caught you at a really great, desperate time because you really want human interaction, as we all do, right?
Right now, it's just my girlfriend and her kids, and that's it. And
oh my goodness,
the 3-year-old and the 7-year-old, not the best conversation.
Oh no. I have that same problem with adults. So, and I'm guessing the 3-year-old and the 7-year-old could probably get a little bit better conversation. So, so you've, how long have you been an artist, Megan? It's been a while, a little bit.
Well, I've been doing it forever, but professionally for 10 years now.
For 10 years now. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because I caught wind of you, I think early on. So that was, well, yeah, I'd say pretty early on. Yeah. Because you got
was probably 2 years into it.
About 2 years into it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it was outstanding work, and all of your work is just amazing. And by the way, anybody can find this. All you have to do is just literally type in Megan Lara and you come right to the top of any Google search. You are well recognized for all of your artwork and well appreciated. Matter of fact, your artwork for Buffy the Vampire Slayer, namely Willow, the character Willow, was sought out by Dark Horse Comics for their comic line. Is that not correct?
Yes, that is correct.
And that, did you want to expound
They even
on that?
put it on a car.
And they even on a car?
Yeah,
They did a rap. They did a rap on a car.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
I didn't know about it until someone sent me a photo, and I was like, "Oh wow, I feel like I've made it now."
That's impressive. Well, wait. Well, we'll decide if you actually made it. What kind of car was it?
I don't know cars.
Well, that's okay. Well, we do know great art, and that's the important thing. And you know great cosplay too, because I pointed this out to you before we actually got on camera. But I love the fact that how much you remind me of Billie Piper, but let me point out her much younger, more attractive sister. So,
it's the nicest thing I've ever heard. Thank you.
But you were spot on, and I was going to mention something about it, but when I saw your cosplay, I went, okay, she knows. Okay, she knows, and I'm going to talk about it because I like that idea. I really do. And Stephanie, she pulled off an impressive Donna. I forgot what was Donna's last name in the series. What was that? Well, anyway,
Noble.
Donna Noble. Thank you,
yeah.
Donna Noble. But if you go out again, I guess I could play Donna Noble's grandfather. That's probably the closest thing I can.
we could work something out.
Probably work out. I don't think I could pull off a Doctor Who. I was like, I don't think I can pull out. Well, maybe Peter Capaldi. Which, by the way, why haven't you done some Peter Capaldi art yet?
I know. I need to catch up. I'm really far behind because I did so many Doctor Who pieces, and watching so much Doctor Who while I'm doing Doctor Who pieces, it was just overload. So I'm kind of giving it a break. I'll get back to it.
Step away. Now, now you've done a lot of TV, movies, comic book characters and stuff. And would I be wrong in my assumption that Doctor Who tends to be where you derive most of your influence from?
I'd say it's what I've drawn the most things from. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I kind of gathered. I know you have a lot of other stuff. You love Community. Which,
I do love Community.
Dan Harmon and the Russo brothers it's a great series. And are you going to give any love to the minor characters? I mean, like Fat
I've
Neil
been thinking about it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I love Fat Neil and Garrett. Garrett needs his own shirt. Okay. And we definitely need a Magnitude shirt, pop. Okay.
Yeah. I started rewatching the series, so I've actually.
Oh yeah, it's airing on Netflix. I love it. I've gone through, and it was just pure nerd joy. It wasn't. The Big Bang Theory is pseudo nerd. Okay. It's my opinion of it is that Community was genuinely humorous and funny, and there's layers that you go back and you catch it, like, oh, I didn't catch that, whereas a Chuck Lorre sitcom is amusing at the moment, and
it's like potato chips.
Exactly, yeah. And you can go back and you find really great homages to parodies. Their parody on Law and Order was priceless. It was absolutely hysterical. And you had so much fun, and it shows in the work, that you really appreciated that. I especially loved your Annie the Day Planner design, and Britta, and hopefully on this rewatching you're inspired to finish out the rest of the gang.
I really do think I probably will do another Community piece because it's so good to revisit it, and I'm particularly drawn to it because I went to a community college, so I'm like, I feel every bit of this. I mean, obviously it's exaggerated, but I totally knew a Pierce, like, absolutely.
Well, you're going to have to rifle through my my friends list on Facebook and find Jordan Black, because he was the guy who played the dean of City College.
Oh my goodness! Yes.
I've been begging Jim Rash. So far, there's been no answer from the Greendale dean, but I'm working on it.
he's buff. Like, I always
he's
forget.
A buff little dude. Yeah,
so
he's great. And the Russos loved him. They brought him back for so many things. I mean, he was in Captain America: Civil War. And actually, they loved all of their Community people, because then Danny Pudi was also in Captain America: The Winter Soldier. And so, you're like, dude, Abed.
Yes, I love it so much.
It was positively wonderful. Yeah, you've obviously met David Tennant that you've done art on. Did he like his piece? Did he like his art?
I know other people have said that he liked it because I didn't have the shirt with me, and they put you in and out so fast at those, so I didn't get a chance. But other people said he liked it, and he liked my cosplay, so that was fine.
That was spectacular. Yeah, I actually reached out to a couple of my voiceover friends on Facebook, Tara Strong and Gray Griffin, because I wanted to have them come on this interview and mean girl you, but they no. I was just a little joke about how you were pulling people away from their autograph booths at DragaCon, and they were really offended, but they didn't buy on. And I tried to get Dave Mitchell, and I was like, oh, come on, guys, work with me. I don't have that pull yet, but I will soon. But especially because of you being on. Yes. Yeah. I had Megan Lara on, people. Come on. How you love me now, son? What? But so what other series have what was the first series that sparked your imagination to try to
the very first thing was actually Princess Peach. She was the first one I ever did. And that was the first one that T Fury ever accepted too.
So in the Mario Brothers, because you a gamer?
Yeah.
You're a total gamer? I should have guessed from those headphones. Those look like totally legit. Right? They look like those are definite girl gamer headphones. I apologize. I suppose guys can wear rose gold and white headphones. Why you would?
They should. They look nice. They complement lots of skin tones.
Well, lots of skin tones and stuff. There you go. I'm a dark and brooding kind of character, as you can tell. So, so it's very important to me to always be. No. Well, yeah, no. You're right in your zone, girl. All right, you know it. You know your wheelhouse, and you work really well at it. You've got incredible stuff there. So, Princess Peach was like your first inspiration. It was the first one you submitted to T Fury. What were you? I watched an interview with you. Tell everybody what you were doing before you decided to really go after your art.
Cooking pizzas?
Yeah. Well, let's clarify now, because with all due respect, pizza can be really awesome. What kind of pizza?
It was Mazio's. I don't know if you know what Mazio's is. It was basically like working at a Domino's. So
was it okay? But it was like a local chain.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. So I'd have to taste test, but I think
I mean, it's.
But you said it's like Domino's. I'm already. Oh no.
You know what? Domino's gets a bad rap.
Oh yeah, actually, their thin crust is really good. Their thin
crust. Yes.
Oh, their thin crust rocks. Okay, I give them props for their thin crust. Domino's gets a bad rap, but I'm not touching that grease pit known as Pizza Hut ever again.
No. Domino's should pay us for this advertising.
I think they should. I really do. As a matter of fact, I'm going to reach out to Domino's and go, listen, we just gave you some really good feedback, and that's from like a nationally known artist now. Okay, you feel me? You feel me, son? That's right. Work with us. So now, what lately is stirring your creative juices? Have you watched, like, obviously you've had plenty of time to watch stuff now that we've been in lockdown. So
yeah. I started watching Witcher, so I just.
I saw your Witcher pieces. Yeah, so the Witcher pieces, and you just and your Yennefer was awesome. Yeah, your Yennefer piece is really great there, and and of course you got Henry Cavill, and you really can't draw Henry Cavill wrong. He's just naturally surprisingly handsome, even with shock white hair. And
it's true. I think I kind of want to do one of him. He's just he's so pretty.
He's a very pretty man. Yes, I agree. He's just stunning. Okay, he's really good. Have you taken in Upload on Amazon yet? Oh no, there's. Upload is a really cool series. It's about having your consciousness uploaded into a computer when you die. And so Stephen Amell, Arrow. Okay, it's his cousin Robbie Amell, who was in Tomorrow People, and he's made a few other appearances with Stephen. But Upload is really good. So if you've got Amazon, you should check that out.
Yeah, I do.
Another shameless plug here. But it's really good. That's another great one. I'd really love to see you get some inspiration from. Go like semi-digital with that. That's it's a good piece. And I really, really get back on Doctor Who, because that's really
I finished BoJack. I don't know if you watch BoJack.
BoJack Horseman.
Oh yeah, love it. It's one of
Really?
my favorite shows. So yeah, I want to do a piece for that.
I love BoJack. You know what I would really be fun if you did some pieces for Pretty Little Faces Going to Hell.
Oh yeah, I love that. I love that. That's great. Did you listen to the last podcast on the left?
I have not. I've been meaning to. Okay. I love them. I've been focusing kind of on getting my legs up underneath me, so that I can, but yeah, they are an outstanding podcast. So so I want to get myself out to the point where I go, hey fellas, you want to do like the dual podcast. I've got I do have a good acquaintance, Stephen Kramer Glickman, who was Gustavo Rock on Big Time Rush. And you remember Big Time Rush on Nickelodeon? You're probably young enough to remember that, right?
No, I
don't.
I'm sorry. I didn't have Nickelodeon growing up, though.
Oh, yeah. Oh, because you're in Springfield, Missouri. That's right. Where the home. Yeah. So honestly, even though Springfield, Missouri gave us Bob Barker, gave us John Goodman, and gave us Brad Pitt, I'm going to go ahead and say this now. The best thing to come out of Springfield, Missouri, Meg and Lara. You got that?
I don't know. Have you seen Crystal Method from Drag Race?
I
don't know. Give me a run for my money.
She's
a finalist on the show. So I've been like, there's been two good things to come out of here,
I've been avoiding Crystal Method since ADM, because the 90s. You remember Crystal Method, the ADM of the 90s, EDM of the 90s?
Oh no.
There was an EDM band called Crystal Method.
Oh no. I thought you were making just a meth joke.
Oh no. I'll tell you what, if I want some crystal meth, I'll talk to Walter White. Okay. So, you did some Breaking Bad ones too, didn't you? Did you do a Breaking Bad piece?
No, I started one, but I don't think I ever finished it. I have the worst habit of like starting something and just dropping it.
Oh my goodness.
I know.
You're such an artist. What's your deal?
That was my hard drive actually with all my new stuff. It died, so I lost everything, like every work in progress I had for the past 10 years.
Oh, so things you could have gone back on and touched up and done up, but so T-Fury, your countless T-shirt websites have your art, right? There's like T-Fury. Who else?
T-Public, Redbubble, Society 6.
Society 6, yeah. I'm already bringing quite a few, because and you managed to make a very stable living off of this stuff, right? Off of that, and also the print work of your art, and honestly, you could probably never have to leave the house, but you still enjoy doing the conventions, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's that to go out there and meet people and go out and set up your booths. And to interact with these people, and who is by far your biggest fan? Who is a big fan? Who is your biggest celebrity fan that you haven't drawn?
Celebrity fan.
Because I'm sure you've run into a few at the cons.
I actually don't know if I have any celebrity fans that I know of. I know the guy who does the BB-8 animatronic stuff, or the puppeteer, is that the word?
Yeah.
He is a big fan, and he always comes by my table and buys stuff, which I think is really cool. Although I did draw BB-8 at least.
You did?
I did. So
of course, Star Wars. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. By the way, you're Ray. Spot on. Love that. Yeah. But so nobody really comes to mind. What is
really? I know Dan Harmon did buy my work. He bought from the community art show. He bought the Troy and Abed and the Annie and Britta. So those were awesome. That was spectacular. Now speaking of Dan Harmon, what about Rick and Morty? Oh yeah, I like Rick and Morty.
Rick and Morty
even though the fans are can be insufferable.
They are, aren't they? I've had it's very hit or miss. Justin branched off for a Hulu series, Solar Opposites, and it's really like Rick and Morty except aliens, I guess. That was so.
I haven't
It's
heard
on
of that
Hulu.
one.
It's on
Oh,
Hulu.
there's so much. I have
Solar
Hulu, so
Opposites. Yeah, yeah, Solar Opposites. So,
I'll check that out.
but who was the who was the most fun for you to draw? What piece do you consider out of all the pieces you did? Which was the one that to this day you still go, oh, that's. I know it's like asking if you have a favorite kid, but let's face facts. Everybody does. Okay, they won't admit it, but you know.
I ain't gonna.
I mean,
I think for me it was probably my Wednesday one, just because like.
Oh, the Wednesday
she has this
Addams.
attitude, yeah.
Yeah. And that was based on the Christina Ricci Wednesday. Yes, that was. Oh, that is that by far she is the iconic Wednesday Addams. And then that's from somebody who even knew the original series, and I think she pulled it off beautifully.
And the attitude, and it was just really fun to draw. So
well, that's a very interesting take on that. I like that a lot. One final question before we go. Out of all of the characters you've ever drawn, which one do you think would be the first to end up in an asylum?
Oh goodness. Hold on. I need to look what I've drawn. Wasn't prepared.
Oh, I like that. Oh, I got her off guard. Oh man. Sadly, that's the only way I get dates is catching women off guard. So I apologize.
No, it's fine.
She's like, okay, yeah. Well, this was a great interview up to that point, Daniel.
No, you're fine. I'm just thinking.
Thank you.
I could go the easy route and say Harley Quinn.
Well, Harley Quinn, obviously. By the way, that was well done. Puddin' Pops. I love that. That was a great piece. I like that one.
That, or obviously Will Graham, since he did kind of end up in an asylum for a little bit. Did you see Hannibal?
Hannibal, yes, your Hannibal piece there.
Yes.
Yeah. So he ended up going nuts himself. So quite possibly, yeah. All right. So did you ever run into a fan that you thought deserved to be in an asylum?
Oh, my favorite fan story is like, she didn't deserve to be in an asylum, but she was so
definitely
cute about it. I guess she saw me in the bathroom at a convention.
Oh.
So she like followed me back to the table, and then she was like, I hope this isn't creepy, but I saw you in the bathroom and I followed you back here. And I was like, oh. Like, well, thanks for telling me.
Well, there you go. Yeah. Well, at least she didn't say, "Oh, I saw you on the spy cam and I followed you."
Yes,
that could have been way worse. So there is that point. All right, you know what? You have been a positive joy, and I have definitely enjoyed our conversation. And I hope we have more in the future, because if I see something that you put out, I'm definitely coming back to you and going, tell me more about this. What inspired you? And I'm gonna obviously fanboy from a distance. So we won't make it creepy. Won't get up in your business, even after we all get out of lockup. But stay safe, because I guess you're like you said, you're in Missouri, and oh my goodness.
Did you see we've been in the news twice this week?
Oh
yeah, for a hairdresser who she had it, and she
140 people. Yeah.
I guess.
And people don't realize how a virus works.
They obviously do not. And then we have people having pool parties in the Ozarks, and I'm just like, can you not make us look bad? We already look bad, but this is just worse.
Please, and sadly, people don't take a moment to just stop and consider, okay, this isn't about you, it's about other people. Okay.
I know, it's a shock.
When you see the blank looks I get from people when I say Typhoid Mary, do you know who she was? She was a non-symptomatic person that carried a deadly disease to countless others. And we're plague rats, okay?
Yes.
It's an ugly description, but it's kind of what we are.
I mean, it's true.
Yeah, exactly. But we're going to have to stay safe out there, and I hope you do. And I definitely look forward to hopefully running into you at a future convention, and hopefully we get this up and running. And I'm so thankful to you, because you were a huge get for me. and I really appreciate your say. I like that. And even mildly blushing. You're adorable. There you go. Look at that. Maryland hasn't given us a whole lot of great stuff. I mean, sure, we got The Wire, but The Wire was just telling us how bad Maryland really was, namely Baltimore. So, and then from the time of crab cakes, Maryland has kind of been phoning it in, with the exception of 1977, when out of Hagerstown, Maryland, came a really rocking band by the name of Kix. And they have been rocking the world and have been doing so for the last 43 years. And talking to me right now, the lead guitarist from that band, Brian Forsythe. Brian Forsythe, how are you?
I'm great, actually.
I am very stoked that you're on this show. I know that my brother is probably going to have a conniption fit. He has been a fan of yours since before you guys were famous.
Wow.
You guys were grinding at the bit for the longest time, since what, 77?
That's when we first got together, and then we got our record deal in 1981. So,
yeah, 81 with
there was a little space in there where we were just like playing and playing and playing and playing. We built up a nice following that way, though.
That is downright spectacular. That's the way you got to do it when you're doing the band stuff. You guys for 4 years, and then you got signed with Warner Brothers with Atlantic Records. Mm-hmm. And then when did you release your first album? Do you remember what year that was? You released the first album?
Yeah, that was 1981.
That was 81 that you released the first album. You guys went on the road to promote that album. Who were you performing with? What other band was with you when you were?
Well, in those early days, we were still in the clubs, basically. I mean, every once in a while, a band would come through Baltimore and they'd throw us on the bill. Like, I think our first big opening show was we opened for Iron Maiden and Judas Priest at the Baltimore Civic Center.
Oh, wow.
And that was right after our record first came out. And that was just a one-off.
Yeah.
And we did a few of those like that. And then we got sent out to the West Coast to do an official tour with Triumph, which was a complete mismatch. That did not work out well.
No. They were very different kind of genre to you guys. Yeah, I see you guys definitely with Iron Maiden, Black Sabbath, a lot of Quiet Riot. You guys did with Quiet Riot too, right?
Oh, we've done shows with them. Yeah, we've never done a whole tour with them or anything.
You've done shows with them, and you've done shows with Rat.
Yeah. Now, Rat was the first official like full length tour that we ever got, and that was 1989. So that's how long.
Wow, that was a while there.
I mean, I'm talking about arenas with a tour bus and all that. I mean, we had done a few smaller tours, like we toured with the Romantics. Remember them?
Oh, I now again, that's not a combination I would throw together, but I do remember the Romantics. Yeah, Talking in Your Sleep, and
and What I Like About You.
What I Like About You. I loved it because they initially released in I want to say 79 was their first album. Was What I Like About You.
With the red leather.
With the red leather, yes. And
I bought that album cover just because it looked so cool. It's like, man, who are these guys?
They were great. Yeah, that was one of the first two albums I got. I got the Romantics and The Knack.
Oh yeah, that was another big one.
That was another good one. But you guys were. I'm more of an alternative guy, but I do appreciate your music. It's no secret to my audience that I was a former strip club DJ. So needless to say, I heard a lot of your music.
Well, that's
I heard a lot of deep cuts from Kix. But one of the all-time power ballads, man. Don't Close Your Eyes. That was a really, really great song. Yeah, and you had a lot of great songs, and I noticed myself personally as a guitar aficionado, you really love your Telly.
Yes, that's my main workhorse.
That is your main workhorse because I almost all the time I'm like, yeah, he's got it there. Yep, he's got it there. Oh wait, there's a Gibson, but okay, he's putting it down and picking up the Telly again. Okay, he's back on the Telly. We're good.
Well, it wasn't always that way. I didn't really start playing the Telly till in the 1990s.
In the 90s?
Yeah,
Oh,
before
really?
that,
Yeah.
it was mainly Gibsons and a
Mm-hmm.
couple of PRSs here and there.
Oh.
But I started out on a Les Paul, but I had this like mid '70s Les Paul Standard that I
Yes.
in the early days, and that thing
Mm-hmm.
weighed a ton. And I finally
Yes.
I would bounce between that and I have this little 61 Melody Maker, which is kind of lightweight.
Mm-hmm.
And I would use the Melody Maker in the studio all the time, but I'd use that Les Paul on stage. And then at some point I go, this Melody Maker is what's on the record. Why don't I just play it? And like this Les Paul is just too heavy.
Yeah,
Plus,
that thing, it's
like I kept breaking it too. The Les Pauls they're not roadworthy. I mean, they're easily broken. But
yeah.
that's what I like about the Telly. I've taken that Telly in the regular old Fender case that it comes in, that rectangle.
Yeah,
and just toss it on the luggage thing, and it goes through and comes out the other end, and it's still in tune.
It's still in tune, still fine. Well, I have their acoustics, so I do like them. You guys are still, to this day, you guys are still out on the road, aren't you? You still have a huge following.
Well, up until a couple of months ago.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Right.
But if you wanted to break out guitar lessons and over Zoom, you could easily do that, right? I mean, wait, I can play like Brian Forsythe. Oh yeah, man, you're still going to be fine. I think you'll be doing well.
Yeah, but that's the thing though with Kicks. It was like we sort of dissolved mid '90s. Like I left.
Right.
Initially left in '93, and then the band kind of staggered along for another 2 years, and then they kind of disbanded, and then we reformed in 2000, the end of 2003, right at the end, and it was a gradual takeoff, but the Baltimore area was like just immediate.
Oh yeah, of course. The hometown crowd is ecstatic because you're back. It's like, yeah, right. They're back. Yeah. So yeah, I totally get that.
It just took off from there, and it's like all those years of touring and the following that we built up, they all just came out of the woodwork, and they brought their kids with them.
Oh yeah, well, every reason too. It's like, okay, this is what good music sounds like, and this is what music sounds like when you pay for it. Exactly. It's really good. But you guys have been incredibly impressive, and there was a point. When did I'm hesitant to bring it up, but you had a little trouble in the rock and roll lifestyle, didn't you?
Yeah, it was being a rock musician, it sort of goes hand in hand, the whole alcohol, drugs, and and through the '80s it was like, well, the one thing that saved us was we took our job really serious. So we had this band rule: no drugs, no alcohol before or during the show, but afterwards, it was like the party.
All bets are off.
So, I'd be on stage and, I'd look out and see my Coke dealer out there, and then, like start counting the songs on the set list, like how many more do I have? So it was like, kind of like, I think because we sort of had to keep it under control for the longest time, it didn't get out of hand until I left the band. That's when everything. When I moved to LA, oof. The weird thing was I was still in several bands at the time, like around LA. I was playing in a few different things here and there, and but yeah, the drugs. I joined a blues band because the singer harmonica player was my heroin dealer.
Oh, jeez.
So I joined this band so I could be closer to the dealer. And
good Lord.
It was a good band. Actually.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, that whole thing, by the end of the '90s, it got to where, I had totally lost control, and that whole rule about not doing drugs when I play went out the window.
No.
So, it was just 24 hours a day. And then finally, the cops kind of stepped in and helped me. I mean, that's
Well,
the way
it's better the cops than the Grim Reaper is in Nikki Sixx's case, right? So
that is very true.
And as I mentioned to you before, I really think it has something to do with that black hair dye. You might have a lawsuit if you and Nikki Sixx get together. I think you can really go after. Is it Clairol? It might be Clairol.
I bounce around. I have used Clairol.
But to get that official jet black, rock icon look, you got to go with it. But
Yeah.
it's always incredible. And you guys as I stated, you guys got back together, and every good relationship, I think, needs a little time apart to realize what you had together in order for it to really click. And you guys started clicking it back. You released, Kix released a new album back in 2013, right? You guys have something new coming up as well?
Well, that was our first new like studio record.
Right. Wheels in Motion, right?
Yeah, it might have been 2014, but it took us that long. I mean, we reformed in 2003, and it took us that long to finally like give into the pressure. Everybody going, "Hey,
when are you gonna make some new stuff?"
And we were just riding on the old songs,
Well, you had enough to do that. I mean, geez,
right.
It's like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Don't try to. But it was very solid material. You guys, did you guys shoot that? Did you guys shoot the video for Wheels in Motion at the Whiskey?
No, that was at the Rams Head Live in Baltimore. The
Rams Head. Well, it was. I was kind of like, is that the Whiskey? Because it kind of looked like the Whiskey for a second. I thought, no. Well, I'll ask him. But yeah. But it was very well done. And like you said, you guys are one of the few bands that are still playing everything live, because a lot of bands, they'll pre-record stuff. They pre-record particular parts because it's just a little too complex to be getting into on stage. Do you guys do everything live? Is that correct? Am I correct in that?
Most of it. We'll do some percussion stuff sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Samples, and then the one song that we do have to do that on is Don't Close Your Eyes. We have the keyboards.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Just because nobody plays well, our old bass player, the original bass player,
right? Yeah,
keyboards on that song.
Oh, yeah.
And I played this. I played a Roland synthesizer guitar on that song.
Yeah.
I bought the thing on a whim, and then it ended up getting incorporated into the set. So I played. Well, he played keyboards. I played bass guitar like on the verses, and then I'd go to. It was one of those guitars where you could blend different sounds, or you could switch between guitar or you could even assign different strings to different sounds. So I would do the bass parts, and then I'd play the guitar, and then that song ended up being the hit. So then I couldn't ever get rid of that stupid synthesizer guitar. I was stuck playing it the whole rest of the time. So now when we came back around, since we don't have Donnie playing the keyboards, we just put that on the sample, and I can just play guitar now. So.
Well, there you go. That's passable. Okay, but for the most part, the entire show is live, with the exception of those particular parts, and even that, you're still doing what's necessary in order to make the sound.
Yeah,
it's not exactly. Then that's okay. That's fine. That's passable. Well, we won't slight you for that. I don't think anybody's going to be too upset. Now, you guys have been out. You guys were out on the road prior to the quarantine. Who were you guys on the road with?
We were just doing our own thing. It was like we do a lot of. Nowadays, it's just fly dates. We fly out somewhere, do a couple of shows, and fly back. And our agency, our booking agency, he's this guy Sullivan Big. He specializes in '80s bands. So most of the bands on his roster are all from that era. So he'll put shows together with a few of us at a time. Like we'll do like Vegas casinos, and it'll be us and like Vince Neil or Slaughter or one of those bands, from the '80s. Or another one we play with a lot is Great White and that band Vixen.
Vixen, yes, Edge of a Broken Heart, yes.
Yeah.
Now that's another question I want to bring up. Out of all of your contemporaries, I see you're holding up incredibly well. I just want to point out how much I despise you for that, because you're I'm not going to lie, you're 7 years my senior, and you look like the younger guy here. And again, not too happy with you over that. But who else? Who else amongst your peers do you think has held up really well? That you look at and go, dang, dude, you still look great. You know, there's a few that obviously the test of time has not been kind to them, but there are a few you just got to go, hey, wow, what are you doing? Are you
Yeah,
drinking virgin blood?
well, actually, most I mentioned Vixen.
Yeah.
They've kind of aged well. I think one of them died though, which is
oh,
but like yeah, Cher, the bass player, she still looks great. In fact, some of the like in Roxy, the drummer.
oh yeah.
And then there's other bands like Nuno Betancourt.
Oh yeah.
He looks the same as he always
Yes.
does. That guy just never changes.
Oh yeah, and just unbelievable, but great. And you mentioned him. Now I'll ask you the next question: what guitar players have you ever played with? And gone? Oh, why am I playing on a show with this guy? This guy's insanely good, and I'm like, you're really good, but I'm saying, every one of us has our insecurities about. It's like, what's he doing there? I can't. How do you make your fingers move like that?
Well, Nuno is one of those guys.
Yeah, I figured he was.
I mean, I'm a product of like the 60s and 70s. So,
oh yeah,
I'm more of a classic rock blues guy.
Oh yeah,
but so I never got into the wheedly deedly finger tapping stuff. But
yeah,
when I watch Nuno, it's like I just watch him and I go like. It just goes so far over my head, and I'm like, I don't even know how you'd ever even get to that level. Like it baffles my mind.
that's a perfectly awesome answer to that question. That's great. Wow. There's like a billion things that like go through my mind asking about that. What was the wildest show you ever did? And wildest as in a really good way, or by the same token, a show that you pray you never have to go back there for.
Oh, well, yeah, there's a lot of really horrendous ones back in the early days.
Oh yeah.
Back in the club days. And there's a few bigger ones too.
Yeah.
One of the very early ones was in Warrington, Virginia. We used to play this place. It was called Cross Creek, and it was a biker bar.
Oh.
And it was like this. It was off of this like 2-lane highway. Like you have to take a dirt road across a creek, hence the name. and there was this just dilapidated cinder block building in the woods, and they didn't have proper bathrooms. They had like a building out back with separate restrooms back there, and it was horrendous. And the inside was all cinder block and cement. So it sounded terrible, and wood beams.
Oh.
So we get this crazy crowd in there, like rednecks and bikers. And I mean, they'd be hanging from those beams.
Oh.
It was crazy. I remember one time we were playing and this guy's climbing up and we had the cables for the lights wound around the beam. And this guy's hanging on the cables. And I'm like, what is he doing? So I'm up there kicking the guy out, trying to get him to fall off. And and at one point, I mean, this is a story I've told before. It's probably been in a few interviews, but there was it was the first show that our singer, Steve, and we got Steve and our sound man at the same time because our sound man at the time was Steve's bass player in the band that we stole Steve from. So this is one of the early, like very first shows that Steve and our sound man did at this place, Cross Creek.
At Cross Creek, yeah. And
we're halfway through the set and this big biker guy comes in, and I didn't see it. I found out after the fact, but he had like either a baseball bat or an axe handle, some big wood stick thing. And he comes in there and he starts just beating our soundboard with it. And luckily our soundboard had a wooden frame around it, so that got most of the
Got most of the brunt of the hitting. Oh, thank goodness.
But it turns out that this guy, he was some biker, and it was part of his initiation. I don't know what exactly he was supposed to do when he came in there, but he did that, and then he staggered up back outside, and then I guess there was some confrontation out there, and he ended up getting shot.
Oh,
So, I mean, that's the kind of club this was.
no, jeez. I've been in a few divey places over the years, but still, that's
and we've also done the whole getting booed off stage thing too, opening for bands like the Triumph tour, for example.
Well, yeah, well, Triumph always. How do I just? Even I, with my wide diverse taste in music, go Triumph.
Yeah, right. Right. And we tried to keep an open mind, and it was our first real tour. But the very first show, it was in Seattle.
Yeah.
And this was back in 81. And for some reason, I guess the security was a little more lax in those days. So they let people bring in bottles and cans and so they were winging that stuff at us. So we're up there, we get partway through the set and stuff. I mean, it started flying pretty much immediately. I mean, not only like beer bottles, beer cans, quarters. They'd wing these quarters like at full speed. And finally, our bass player got hit, and our drummer got hit, and Ronnie, the other guitar player, got hit in the ankle with like a pint bottle of it was empty, but it was
but still
Jack Daniel's bottle.
Yeah.
So finally, we finally just gave up, and we had to make a run for it. And I remember as we were leaving the stage, Triumph's monitor guy was over on the side, running the stage monitors.
Yeah.
He was on his back, out cold on the floor. He had gotten hit with something. We didn't even notice that, but we had to step over him to get off the stage.
Oh man. Well, you wouldn't have had those problems if you'd opened for Chilliwack.
Chilliwack.
You remember Chilliwack?
No.
Really? Are you going to make me sing their only song? Gone, gone, gone. She been gone so long. She been gone, gone, gone so long.
I know the song. I just didn't know the name of the band. I'm sure if I saw the name spelled out.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't make me sing the whole song. I'll do it. Okay. I'm warning you right now, Brian. Just a heads up. So Triumph was Triumph. Ooh. Oh wow.
Well, not only did their crowd hate us, but they hated us.
Oh,
that was a really rough tour, and we only lasted for five shows. 5 shows,
yeah.
And then they kicked us off. But the problem was we worked our way down from Seattle down the coast.
Right.
By the time we got to Oakland, the crowd was starting to warm up to us, and I don't think Triumph appreciated that, so they finally gave us the boot. But they were sabotaging us. Like their roadies.
Oh yeah.
They would unplug stuff. Like we'd be playing, and all of a sudden the other guitar player's amp would just go off, and we'd find the plug just laying there next to the outlet. Like the guy just pulled it. And then one time we're playing, and the roadie walked just nonchalantly, just right across the stage.
Right across, dude.
I was just like, "What are you doing?"
That's just horrible.
Yeah.
Who was your favorite band to tour with? Who'd you go like? Oh man, we're gonna tour with these guys. I love them. You were totally simpatico with them. They were the guys that they were like almost an extension of your band.
Well, Rat was really they were cool because they treated us like one of them.
Yeah.
They didn't. They didn't just ban us to our dressing room. But another good, this was a tour with 2 other bands. This was in in 98.
Mm-hmm.
We did Great White and Tesla. We did like this. It was like an amphitheater tour. And
nice.
That was really good. And they were all like, we hung out together because sometimes when you open for bigger bands, you don't get really to hang out. You can say hi.
Yeah, but you guys are all on equal footing at that point. Tesla and and Great White, and 98. So that was before that Rhode Island fire. That was before that, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
that was just devastating. Yeah.
I'm surprised that hadn't happened sooner. You know,
Oh,
especially
have
especially
you?
back in the late '70s.
Oh yeah.
A lot of, especially on the East Coast, like the New Jersey bands, they
Oh
were
yeah.
big into pyro back then, and you know, they'd have some goofy, their roadie, you know,
Yeah.
who they just found, like it was some guy down the street,
Some random guy. Hey, dude, you want to be a roadie?
loading
Yeah. Hey, sure.
loading flash pots with gunpowder. You know, it's like it's like no license, no nothing. They're just out there pouring the stuff in there.
Oh my goodness. Well, you've survived. You've survived your rock and roll lifestyle. You're doing very well, and you know you're now, and you've now taken up residence in Nashville, which is musician heaven, because you have a lot of neighbors, and Nashville is not just country music anymore. There are a lot of have you run into any of your old stomping buddies around the area?
Yeah, in fact, when the reason I left California, I mean, I loved California. I loved the weather out there and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But this girl that I had been in a relationship with for like 25 years, it just came to the end, and we split up, and she owned the house. So it was like, it was all of a sudden, okay, well, now what am I going to do? I guess, all these years that we were in this house, I thought I was helping her with a mortgage payment.
Mm-hmm.
Turned out I was just paying rent. So I get to the end of that, I'm like, oh man, I don't want to just keep paying rent somewhere. So I thought, I've got to buy my own house.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way that makes sense. And then I started looking around at LA, and it was just like, oh man.
Oh no, you're not. If you're,
it was just insane. It was like, there's no way. So I had all these musician friends that had left LA and gone to Nashville.
Right.
And they kept saying, hey man, you should check out Nashville. Hey, you should check out Nashville. It's really affordable. You should check out Nashville. Yeah. So I did. I got on, first I got on some of those real estate sites where you can
exactly
poke around.
Mm-hmm.
And then I took I found a bunch of different things to look at in different areas, and one of them was Antioch.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, Antioch's a little sketchy these days, is my understanding. It's like, when I lived there, it was nice and everything, but my understanding is, Antioch is now where the other mall, as Chris Rock used to call it, is.
Well,
other.
Well, that was a thing. I found houses, and then I took a week, and I came here, and I drove to those places, so I found out what I like when I got there. I was like,
exactly. Yeah. But it was nice. It was fairly nice when I lived out there. That's not my understanding anymore. But you got moved over to the area. But and I appreciate you're trying to avoid Antioch. But did you have to go so far away that you're so far from the only Trader Joe's in your neighborhood? Because in Nashville, because I think it's over in Green Hills, off Hillsborough.
Right. Well, yeah, that was the thing. I lived in Eagle Rock out in LA, and I could walk to Trader Joe's.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, you were talking about your neighborhood, and back in Eagle Rock, and of course, you got Casa Bianca there, which is hands down one of the best pizza joints in Southern California. Yeah,
the people love that place. You know what? I didn't really care for it that much.
You didn't?
Yeah.
This conversation's over, Brian.
Sorry.
Brian? Oh.
No, people swear by that place. In fact, and there was always a crowd of people waiting to get in out front. I mean, it was crazy.
Well, it really depends on the pizza you get there, because but they're because they do make their own sausage, so the sausage pizza is always really good.
Well, see, I wasn't eating meat when I was when I went there, so maybe that had.
Yeah, well, speaking of eating, you're like the keto king. Is that
carnivore now?
Oh, you're a carnivore. Oh, you're back on.
I started out. Well, I went from I was pescatarian for years.
Yeah,
and then I went keto, but I was still pescatarian, but doing it keto style, which is high fat, low carb.
Yeah,
and I joined all these keto groups on Facebook, and people post their food pictures and all this, and I started seeing all these pictures that involve bacon, and I'm like, oh man, that looks good, and I hadn't eaten bacon in years. and for some reason, I guess it just kept grating at my mind. And but through keto, I discovered, I got into nutrition, and I started following all these different like doctors and researchers, and I started learning about like meat and how good that is for you. Like that's what what humans are really supposed to eat.
Yeah.
So I finally made the jump, and I think I tried bacon first, was the first meat. And then right after that, I went to the store and bought this humongous ribeye and cooked it.
Oh, well, there you go. And my understanding is you actually do videos of cooking online. You have cooking videos
on YouTube. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, and where would somebody who's watching this interview go to check out what's your webpage? Is it Brian Forsythe?
Well, actually on YouTube, the funny thing is I started doing it just goofing around. Yeah. So my YouTube channel is just Brian Forsythe. I don't even have a name. I haven't even come up with a name for it yet.
Well, that's cool, man. Then that works out. And, again, check out your actual cooking because, I hear you're quite the foodie. What are your personal favorite dishes to fix up? What can you now fix with your eyes closed?
Well, it's funny because even before I was doing videos, like way back in the keto days, or even before, I used to love taking photos of my food. But there's a lot more variety back then. Now that I'm carnivore, there's not a whole lot of variety. It's pretty much the same things except just rearranged. Different combinations.
But do you have like a favorite dish that you do as well as you play guitar?
Well, my favorite meal is a ribeye steak. But
is a ribeye? Well, of course, it just goes without saying.
But I've been getting into smoking the meat.
Oh yeah.
And I love doing like the ribeye roast, which is a prime rib.
Right.
I love that because I've gotten really good at it. And then just recently, early on, I tried to do a brisket. It was a fail. So I was like leery about trying to do another one because they're expensive. I didn't want to mess up another nice piece of meat. But now that I've done a few of those ribeye roasts, like perfectly, I did a brisket. Like it was probably 2 weeks ago or so, nice. And it turned out it was better than like the best brisket I've had at like a Texas barbecue place.
Well, that is a big claim.
It was like it couldn't have been more perfect. I was like. I don't know. I don't even know how to to say. I mean, I was so surprised. I had no idea that it would turn out that good.
That is nice. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to hold you to that. I'm going to hold you to that challenge, and I'm going to come taste that in Nashville. For now, I'm letting you go. I've had a wonderful time talking to you, Brian, and I really appreciate your coming on to our little show here, man. It was fun. Well, thank you. Well, it was fun for me. I was just ecstatic, and I'm very proud of myself for not just going fangirl all over you. So,
I got to show you before we go. Let me just show you one thing. I'm going to walk over here.
Okay.
This is what. Can you see those?
Oh,
those were marrow bones.
Right. Yeah.
That I used in my meal. So now I'm going to take those bones, and I just so you have a visual. Let me take the lid off this thing. I haven't put the liquid in yet, but there's more bones. Like I say when I cook.
You're making bone broth?
Yeah.
You're rocking the bone broth.
Yeah. So I'm starting that later on tonight and let it go for a couple days.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, save me a jar, and we'll talk next time, Brian. It was wonderful talking to you. Brian Forsythe, everyone.
Thanks.
A big thank you to all of my incredible guests this evening, Megan Lara. You can check her out at meganlara.com. It's that simple. Brian Forsythe, and you can check him out on YouTube at Brian Forsythe. It's really simple. Wow. I like simple. And of course, my wonderful friend, Dr. Brian Clardy. Until next week, see you then.